So a lot of people will tell you that you cannot flat tow a 4Runner. And in some ways that's true, but it's actually possible. And so I just want to do a quick little video to kind of walk through what it takes to do flat towing correctly on a 4Runner. In this case, we have a 2021 TRD Pro. We're pulling it with a Dynamax ISOTA 5 RV. This has a Cummins 6.7, rated to tow 10,000 pounds, so the 4Runner behind it's no big deal at all. So I'm going to do a quick little walkthrough of what parts are on the 4Runner to do that, and just kind of show the quick hookup here since we're getting ready to leave Moab, Utah. We just spent a week here, had a really awesome time, stayed in the RV, enjoyed the 4Runner, but now it's time to go home. So I'm going to show you what that looks like here. The first thing you add to the 4Runner in the front here are these base plates, and we got these are made by Roadmaster. They fit 2009 plus 4Runner and anything else that has this same basically frame under it. So what these do is they sandwich in where the bumper support beam goes across to have some nice reinforcement. There's actually a threaded hole already in the frame right here that this bolt uses, and then you run a bolt there through the top of the frame by drilling a hole on the back side. So honestly, pretty easy installation to get these pieces in. When you're not towing, these pins come out, and this hole, these front pieces come out, including this bar. So these front pieces go into the receiver here, pin in, and then this tow bar adapts to there. The reason why they do it like this is you can get different tow bars for different types of, adapter bars for different types of tow bars here. So we're using Roadmaster for everything. So we're using the Roadmaster Nighthawk tow bar, and this is the adapter bar that goes here. One thing to note that we discovered on the TRD Pro and probably the off-road and some others, they have a bigger protrusion here on the front bumper. So we actually had to grind away a bit here. Nothing that's structural, but we had to grind away a bit to get some clearance. And this was still kind of bumping up and down on here, so I ended up just sticking some rubber hose on here until I can go back in there and clearance a bit more. But that was the only thing that really didn't fit exactly the same as any other 4Runner. So just something to keep in mind if you have this bigger bumper on these. So that piece goes on there. That gets you ready to tow. And then one more thing you do have to add, this goes for any towed vehicle, is an adapter to go from the 7-pin umbilical cord, as they call it here, to the 6-pin adapter down here. What that does is communicates the brake lights, turn lights, and parking lights, and runs them directly at the tail lights. So you end up running some wires back and some diodes and doing that whole jazz, but I won't get into that. But I did have to mount this receptacle right here, which I found a nice little spot to do so it doesn't get in the way of anything, just clears the skid plate, and that allows you to plug this connection in right here, which we'll get to. So and then the other part I'll get into is the breakaway system here. I found a spot to mount that so that in the event that something were to fail and the 4Runner was to detach from the RV, there'll be a chain on here that will yank this out and it'll apply a brake inside the RV. So that's that part here. So I'll do a quick little set the tripod up here and attach these guys. So these come up, slide into position there. The locking pin goes back through. Obviously important to make sure that that's locked in really good. Everything's secure. Same thing over on this side. Another locking pin there. Okay. So now we're all attached. As I pull away, these arms will extend and lock into place. and then they'll stay there so that there's no movement in the tow bar. So we'll plug this guy in and wrap that up over here so it doesn't drag on the ground. Okay, we got that in place. Now our safety cables here, these will go over, and I've got a couple of heavy-duty links here that are hooked into the base plates. And those give us our connection point for the safety cables there. So we're all hooked up now there. I've already got this side all hooked up. Now we've got our safety cable to run the brake. I stick that through here just to kind of help keep it out of the way of things. And then clip it onto the ring here, like that. And then if we break away and that yanks it out, then the brake gets applied. Now, here's the 4Runner specific part that you have to do. And this also covers the keyless entry and the fob and all of that. So, first thing we'll do here is, since we're hooked up, we'll leave the parking brake on for the moment. We'll turn the key to on here so I can apply the brake and put it in neutral. It has to be in neutral because that will keep the steering wheel unlocked. Now it's going to beep and be upset with me, and that's fine. Also, we want to make sure that we're in high 2. We don't want to be in 4, we don't want to be in neutral, because even being in neutral over here actually does engage the front shaft of the 4-wheel drive system. So we want to be in high 2. That makes sure we don't have anything going on in the front end. Okay, so now we're in neutral. Parking brake's on. And I'm going to show you the trick here that allows the 4Runner to be towed safely. The problem with these 4Runners is that the oil pump for the transmission is driven on the front side of the transmission by the engine running. So if the engine's not running, there's no lubrication going throughout the transmission. That's a problem. But the simple way to solve that is a drive shaft disconnect, which I'll go under here and show you. This comes from a company called Superior Driveline. They bought, as I understand it, the Remco disconnect system, and they manufacture these complete drive shafts. So you just simply measure your drive shaft, give them specifications, and they give you a whole new drive shaft that you bolt in. Pretty easy installation. Now you'll see this little collar right here. When this collar is engaged back towards the rear end, everything's locked together. Rear wheels turn, differential turns, drive shaft turns. Can't have that going down the road. So we simply pull this collar like so and verify that the drive shaft free spins. Now as we're going down the road, the differential can be turning, that's fine, but we won't spin the drive shaft and therefore damage anything inside of there. Now there is a whole system you can get with a lever if you don't want to crawl under here, but we didn't want that. It hangs down kind of low, and we're going to be doing, you know, a lot of off-roading and crawling and stuff. So I don't mind crawling under here and re-engaging this. Not a big deal to do. So we're good there. And now I'll show you quickly why the front end's fine. If we go up here to the transfer case, you'll see that as long as we are in high 2, this front shaft right here is also just free to spin. So that means that this is not spinning, nothing inside the differential back here, the center differential or transfer case, sorry, nothing in there is spinning, because when you engage that 4-wheel drive, this shaft gets locked together with the rear shaft, and the front differential also locks in to the shaft as well. So we leave it in high 2, we're fine there. So we've got nothing spinning, nothing to worry about. So let me crawl back out of here. And show you the last few steps here. So we need to stay in neutral, but we don't want the ignition on. So we're gonna hit the button once to put it back in accessory. Now, the fob has to stay in here, and I'll show you why. If you take the fob out and you close the door, it's gonna beep constantly the whole time. So the fob has to be inside. So what we'll do is we will take the key out, push the little button, we'll separate the key from the fob, we'll leave the fob in here, okay? Now we can close the door, no beep, no big deal, we're good there. Now we want to be able to lock it up because we've got things stored in the back and we're going to be stopping at rest areas. We don't have to worry about it. Simply use the key in the ignition there and it will lock all the doors. Okay, and then you can get back in with your key when you get to your destination. Now I'll show you one more thing that we have with our 4Runner is our supplemental braking system. There are a number of different ways to do this. I am going to, for the purposes of this video, I'm going to put it back into park just to make it happy here and turn it off. And I'll show you what we have for our braking system. And again, there's ones that you can permanent install. We're not doing this towing that often, so we went with the RVI Brake 3. It's a pretty intelligent system. It works by itself. I won't get into too much detail, but basically it senses when the car's slowing down aggressively and it applies the brake, and there's some special settings there. You definitely want to make sure that you select the electronic style brakes, not the vacuum assisted, because these have electronic braking. So what we do here, we kind of center this up here. We grab this arm here and we go around the brake pedal with it like that. Give it a good squeeze, make sure it's nice and centered on there like that. Don't need to shove this thing all the way back, but kind of in the vicinity here, and you'll see how this thing works here in a moment. So we need to turn our accessory back on to demonstrate this. So when your accessory is on, you'll always have power here. So that plugs in.
Push auto position button.
So we listen to the commands here, push the button. You'll see it'll push the brake down. You can hear it's air compressor based.
Push auto position button again. Push auto position button one more time.
Okay, so now I have up under here the connection that goes back to that breakaway I showed you,
Plug-in breakaway cable,
which is here. So we'll plug that in here, like so.
RVI brake ready.
Okay, now it's ready to go. So we don't touch anything. We would obviously, you know, get it back into, we would be in neutral. Again, just as a refresher, we'd be in neutral. We'd be in accessory mode. We'd leave the fob in here. We'd take the key with us. So a couple quick things to do. Obviously, I'll just throw in this video. This is just general flat towing 101, is that we want to come around and double check our brake disconnect. So we give it a pull here. And now you can see it's applying the brake pedal, and it would sit here and hold the brake pedal like this.
Warning, breakaway detected.
Okay, so that's all working well. And there's a whole system with the RVI that's really cool that uses a tablet up in the RV to show you when it's braking, to give you information. We also have it wired up. We're using the RVI battery charger. You need something like that for going down the road to keep your battery topped off. So we have it set up with the RVI smart battery charger. So it basically gives it the power coming from the 7-pin to 6-pin to there. So then the last thing we would simply do is come over here, say hi to the mountain dog Leo, just turn on the hazards there and turn on the parking lights. We're going to come back around. We're going to make sure the parking lights are lit up, which they are, and verify that we've got both flashers flashing. So that means our turn signals are working and our tail lights are working. So we're all set. So that's what it takes to tow a 4Runner. That's the parts that we've purchased to do it. And again, the drive shaft disconnect is the really critical piece there. Everything else is just manipulating the way the 4Runner systems work, where if it's in neutral, the steering wheel is always unlocked. Leave the fob inside, it's happy. Take the key with you to lock the door, and you're all set. So hopefully this video helps other people. I did a lot of research to figure out how to do this the right way and what it takes, and this is where we ended up. And we towed it 1,000 miles here to Moab with 0 issues, and we're about to tow it 1,000 miles home.